The world is changing and so is SMPTE. SMPTE continues to evolve and change by leading the evolution of technology, by setting international standards, and by continuing to educate and connect across the globe.
SMPTE seeks to be inclusive in every aspect of our industry. So we are exploring emerging technologies, modern strategies, and new engagement opportunities to make sure that we are at the forefront of change for the future.
We are actively expanding our membership in our worldwide sections covering 92 countries across all of our fields. Our SMPTE members are visionaries, entrepreneurs, technologists, and engineers, working together to drive the industry forward with technical brilliance and innovation.
Known worldwide for innovating some of the most iconic technical standards, SMPTE has 107 years of history of bringing the world together.
SMPTE has created more than 800 standards, recommended practices, and engineering guidelines. These standards have touched every frame of motion imaging content consumed daily by billions of viewers worldwide and leading the evolution of technologies in the future.
Our strength as an organisation is the strength of our global members. We span from university students to the most significant experts and engineers in their field.
If you're going to be in a technology organization, SMPTE is the one to join.
SMPTE keeps current with cutting-edge information from around the globe, striving for more diversity across all categories so we can continue to be on the forefront of change for the future.
Together, we are spearheading award-winning online and in-person education across the globe with our preeminent expert members.
SMPTE education programs cover a wide range of emerging categories, including artificial intelligence and machine learning, digital cinema, human perception of images and sound, augmented, virtual, and mixed reality, diversity and inclusion in STEM, esports and gaming, and communication fields.
SMPTE's members remain its greatest asset today and into the future. Together, we will drive our industries forward.
Join SMPTE for a change.
Hello and welcome to the very first SMPTE Leadership is Listening. This is very exciting. This is an opportunity for you to be able to speak to the leadership of SMPTE. And specifically, our speakers today are SMPTE's president, Renard Jenkins, and David Grindle. David is the executive director for SMPTE. And I am going to not take a lot of time, but I want to let you know that we will be taking questions, and you just type your questions into the chat, and we will not only read them to our speakers, but we will show them on the screen as well. So at this point, I would like to invite SMPTE's executive director, David Grindle, to come on board. David, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Joel. Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for joining us. I would first like to thank Dr. Corey Carbonara and the staff here at Baylor University. I'm out visiting our student section, and they were kind enough to give me office space, so thanks to them for their support as we make this happen for our members. One of the things that I'm excited about is that we're looking to create change at SMPTE, not because SMPTE's in desperate need of change to be different, but because we need to be responsive. One of those things we did was a member survey, and we'll be sharing results of that survey over the coming months. And you'll see change in things like this. Our members said they wanted access to hear from the leadership more directly and to be able to converse with the leadership from around the world. With our members in 62 countries, we need to be accessible. So you'll hear from us today at noon Eastern Time, which works great across one portion of the globe. And next week, we'll be doing the same event at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, which works better for folks on the other side of the globe. Leadership is listening, is hearing what our members want, and leadership is a partnership. And so I'm very pleased to introduce and bring to the screen my partner in leadership, SMPTE's president, Renard Jenkins.
Thank you, David. I appreciate the introduction, and hello, members. I am in Atlanta today. As many of you know, I definitely have earned my wings. I'm everywhere, but I'm in Atlanta today after spending a wonderful day on the campus of Clark Atlanta University, as well as Spelman, along with David and Dr. Wright, as we explore creating a pipeline for getting more people interested in the work that we do. I am excited about hearing from the members. I'm excited about what we can actually accomplish together. My vision for SMPTE going forward is not just to make it, I should say it is not just to maintain relevance, but it is to advance our space and our positioning across the industry as the leader in standards, guidelines, and practices. I am focused on making sure that we are an inclusive environment, and I'm focused on seeing that we are reaching out to all of our members across all of our career levels, whether you are starting in the industry, whether you are in your mid-journey, or whether you are looking for your second act. I want to make sure that we are providing educational opportunities. I want to make sure that we are staying current with the technology that is happening today. And I want to really optimize the usage of all of the thousands of years of knowledge that we have combined across our membership. There's so much that we can do together, and there's so much that we can actually push forward in our industry. We are the science behind all of what we actually see and hear, and I will maintain that doctors and researchers and nurses and medical field individuals were definitely the heroes of COVID, but without the standards and without the engineers who work right here in SMPTE, a lot of us would not have been able to see our families that were not living in our homes. So I tip my hat to the engineers here, because I do believe that this group is an unsung group of heroes as far as we are concerned with this pandemic. So I'm looking forward to us getting started, and I'm looking forward to me doing a lot less talking and a lot more listening. And with that, let's bring David back, and let's start off.
So if you have questions, please take a moment and write them into the chat, as you can see scrolling around at the bottom of the screen. One of the things that you saw at the beginning of this was an opportunity to see a video that's running called SMPTE for a Change. And so that comes about because, we want people to see that things here are moving in many of the same directions and in different directions as well. Renard, would you be so kind as to share a little more about the interesting different points of filmmaking that we saw going on yesterday at Clark Atlanta when we were meeting with their faculty?
Yeah, it was interesting because we were focused on media and entertainment, and that was, sort of why we went to the school, to learn more about that. We had the opportunity to meet with the professors who lead the theater department, the computer science department, the sound engineering department, as well as media and entertainment and radio and television. Our focus was to figure out, how do we get this team of people to understand the value of SMPTE, and also how do we get them to understand how they can have a play and a position in this organization. So it was really wonderful to hear all of those different verticals and how they are being approached. But the one thing that we were able to bring to the table was an understanding of how all of those things work together and how SMPTE is really the glue for bringing all of that together for the industry. I thought that was really probably the greatest takeaway of our conversation with them was they had a better understanding of what it is that we do as a society, and they were eager to get involved. I think having Zandra Clark there, who is, local to this area and has been involved with SMPTE for 20 to 25 years, I think that was really key so that they have a person that they can go to right here. And that's one of the joys and the values of this society as a whole. We have 92 different sections all over the place. And if we can connect with people on a local level, and to borrow something from my previous employer at PBS, we will think locally and work locally, but the benefits will be global. And I'm excited about having more opportunities to meet with our sections and to connect them with local organizations that may not quite know what SMPTE does or may not understand how they can get involved and what value they can add to what it is that we're doing.
And Renard, you hit on a good point there, because one of the big things that came in the member survey was how much our members value the work of our sections. And you and I have both committed to getting out to those sections and being with them in person now that we can do that quite happily. And so one of the things that I'm hoping to discover is how we can support them in doing their work. And because we all know that SMPTE's volunteer leadership has volunteered to take on a full-time job alongside their full-time jobs. And we need to be the staff that's supporting them and helping them get those jobs done effectively. And so that's one of the changes that I'm looking forward to bringing as a new executive director, is finding the way that we as a staff can be supportive of those sections. Joel, we have some questions that have come in, but I think you may be working to solve the technical problem. Those of you who are with us on YouTube, we're aware that the chat is disabled there. And so we're working feverishly behind the scenes to make that happen. So there you go. Renard, what are some of the influences that inspired SMPTE to start looking at new changes?
That's a great question, Anthony. And what, beyond the survey, what we were noticing was that we are starting to get to a cliff where a lot of our members are starting to age out. And when you think about that as just sort of it's a part of life, it's a part of our careers, and a path, what we wanted to do was make sure that we captured a lot of that knowledge from these individuals. And it's great for us to capture the knowledge, but then we need to share the knowledge. And who did we want to share it with? We want to share it with young people who are just as hungry as we were when we started in this industry. And they have desires to grow their careers and to be involved in the innovation and be at the forefront of what's happening. So we said, how do we change so that we can make sure that we're bringing new people into our society? And then we're giving them the opportunity to do bidirectional mentoring and coaching and learning from folks who are already in our society. So how do we build something that's going to give us that type of environment? And that's where the start began. And then we started looking at the makeup of our society. And the makeup of our society, and even though we are global, had a certain look to it. And that look was a little bit less intense as people were describing it. You know, people were telling us that they didn't know that they could join SMPTE, or they didn't feel comfortable in SMPTE because the people didn't necessarily look like them, or they weren't at a level in their career where they thought that they could add value, or they felt that, you know, I don't see a lot of women involved. So what we said is, okay, we have a lot of women involved in SMPTE. We've got to now actually give visibility and amplify the work that they're doing. We have a lot of people of color who are all over the world. We've got to amplify what they're doing so that you can see them, give them the opportunity to be seen. We have a lot of people who are at, you know, later stages in their lives and in age. We've got to amplify what they have already done and what they're continuing to do. So that's where we focused. And that was the beginning of us saying, okay, how do we change our organization so that people see us for who we really are? And they see us for the vision that we have going forward. And that's where this started. So I hope that helped, Anthony. And if not, you can always, you know, email me and we can have a long chat about what we're doing and where things are going.
And so, Renard, one of the things that have been said, you and I have this commitment to being out with our sections and being out with our student chapters as well. The exciting thing about SMPTE is we've got a great opportunity to connect people across all stages of their lifespan of a career. And as we're moving forward, Renard's vision, which is exciting for me to work to help implement, is that we connect people. That's really what SMPTE does. Yes, we're a standards organization and we're focused in science and in engineering and using good scientific method to solve problems. But we're also about connecting the people to make those solutions happen and to have collaborative learning and collaborative research. And so being able to work with our student chapters, help develop new student chapters, connecting them across the globe with each other so that we're connecting them, but also engaging them with our local sections. And if we don't have a section in that area, with our local membership. We have had several sections, you know, they faded to the side because leading a section is a lot of energy and effort. And we want to be able to visit and help rebuild some of these sections in places around the globe, but also maybe think about what does it mean to have a section. Sometimes we're not going to have a critical mass of people in a tight geographic area. How do we expand and make sure people are connecting both online as we're doing today and in person? These are some of the changes that we're trying to find ways to bring to people because we realize that, well, frankly, we're the engineers who make this happen. We need to use the technology we've created to connect people together. And we've got some great opportunities of that are going to be announced in the coming months. Hey, Joel, there's a question from Dennis Felton. Could you bring it up on the screen for us? Because I'd really like, I alluded to it, but Renard, I'd like to have you continue on with this.
Yeah, and you know, hey Dennis, Dennis is from the Washington D.C. section. He and I have worked closely throughout our careers. So good to see you here. Thank you for joining. The second act. A lot of us are considering what that's going to look like. And like I said earlier, we have a lot of our folks who are in that position within our society right now. One of the things that we're doing is we're looking at our educational offerings. And what we want to do is make sure that we are creating educational opportunities for those who are looking for that next step that will keep them relevant and keep them up to date with the latest technology. so that they have a full understanding of what is out there and how they can actually participate in it. But then our hope is that they help us to identify areas of need by responding to surveys, by reaching out to your individual sections and letting them know, hey, you know what, if we were to do a speaker series on technology X, I think that would be really valuable to all the members of our section, but also to those of us who are looking to continue to grow in the business. And we have not retired yet, or as they say, we ain't dead yet. We're here and we're moving forward, and there's lots that we have to learn. So we're looking at our educational opportunities. But the other thing is, we want individuals who are looking at their second act to get involved with their sections, because part of your second act could be extending that information that you've gained over those years of experience to people who are in their mid journey, talking to them not just about technology, but about how to speak to your CFO, how to get some of your ideas amplified across your companies, how to get things out there in a way that allows you to grow and to learn and to be a valuable member of your teams in your day job, but also helping you to grow and learn throughout SMPTE as well. So yeah, we are really all about hitting every part of the career journey and making sure that we're doing some good stuff. And Barry, I think I did get that line from you.
Well, and so Renard and I do see the comments you're making as they're coming through, and that's really appreciated. To remind folks, I'm 9 months in. I am learning SMPTE history, SMPTE present, and helping lay the course for SMPTE future. So yeah, John, I'd love to hear your observations on what you saw and where the challenges, what brought some of those fading sections, because we can learn from knowing what those observations were. So please, my email address is going to scroll across at some point. And I'm more than happy to hear from folks and talk with people, and learn from those observations, because that's valid in us finding ways to make things active and effective for today.
Yeah. And you know what, David, one of the things that I noticed, being a member of a section, I've been members of the Atlanta section, I've been members of the DC section, and I have noticed over time, when you have the same people who are doing all of the work, over time they get burned out. They have day jobs, they have things that they have to actually do, they have families, they have, they want to live life. We have to make sure that we are, sort of spreading the work equally. We have to make sure that we have volunteers who want to continue to, sort of pass the torch and keep training and getting more people involved in what we do at the local level. The other thing is that we have to make sure that we're connecting with the schools, and we're connecting with the other groups around us, the production companies and other organizations that are around us in our local areas, so that we can expand that group and make sure that we have a lot of people involved. Many hands make light work. And that is one of those things that really helps. We have so many people who are so passionate about SMPTE. They are extremely passionate about SMPTE. They love what this organization has been and what it has done. In no way do we want to take away from that. We want to expand on that. We want to now say, look at what we did, but look at what we're doing. And that's the direction that we want to go. So we want to get, people involved. We want to make sure that we're not burning them out and we're not overusing them. There's so much for us to do. So much for us to do.
So one of the things that has been mentioned in the chat is the idea of SMPTE doing certifications. And that conversation is rolling forward. We're in those conversations. There were some legal hurdles. There's an IRS ruling. SMPTE's tax status is a 501c3. There are actually some legal rulings as to how much certification we can do. But that is also changing around as the tax laws in the United States change, because even as a global organization, we are still beholden to our U.S. tax law.
Yeah, but it doesn't stop us from actually partnering.
Correct.
With other organizations. So that's one of the things that we're looking at. You know, how do we partner with some of the organizations that have certifications in place? And then we work with them to make sure that we can build out educational opportunities or certifications that will be valuable to our members, and that will help them along their journey in their careers by saying, hey, you know what, I've got a certification in, neurotechnology, or I have a certification in artificial intelligence or machine learning modeling. Those things are all the things that are really prevalent right now in our industry as things are starting to change. We've got to get in front of that. We've got to make sure that we're connecting our members with the right places for them so that they continue to grow.
So there was a comment posted about asking what other changes are rolling down the line. Some of the things that we can share with you that you'll see in the future, SMPTE is going to be rolling out a new member portal on its website. One of the things we've heard is that the website is not the thing people love about SMPTE. We've heard that. It is loud and clear. We're acknowledging that and working on that. And so creating a member portal that not only gives you access to things that you need, but will be able to go back and pull if you've taken a course and need to show proof of that to your employer. You'll be able to download certificates like that directly from your own member portal. The other thing that we are working on feverishly, which is far more complicated than I somehow ever thought it would be, is the ability to take multiple currencies.
Mm-hmm.
And we're working on it. And we're pushing for that because we know it's important. It's important to our members around the globe that they be able to be functioning in those currencies. So that's going to take us a bit, but it's something we're in process on. And then also looking at our member benefits and what benefits are there for all of our members. And then what member benefits do we need to really focus on where you are in your career? Again, reminding everyone that we're here for the lifespan of your career, and the needs of our members change as they go through and make transitions. And part of that is going to be sessions like this, but also us getting out and asking you questions. So please be patient with us. We're going to start asking lots of things over the coming year and years to come.
Yeah, and we have some other things that have been sort of in the mix. We've been working on a curriculum to help educators understand what's important for people who are interested in this side of the business to know and to learn while they're in university. And what do they need to do to make sure that they're being prepared once they get out? We are looking to see how we can connect our sort of senior members with some of our more junior members. We've got a Discord channel that is up right now and through the membership group, and it really does focus on saying, hey, ask a SMPTE fellow, ask a SMPTE member a question, and let them connect with you, and then you can grow from there. One of the other things is now that we can get together in person and we can work to make sure that we do that safely, connecting with each other on a personal level when we are at media summit, or when we are at some of the local section meetings, is really, really critical for us to be able to make sure that all of us are being mentored and all of us are becoming mentees and coaches to one another. There's so much that we can learn from young people in the way that they approach some of the problems that we are seeing in our industry right now, and there is so much knowledge and wisdom that we can gain from those individuals who actually laid the groundwork on which we are actually building today. The thought process behind how they built what they built and why they took the opportunity to do what they do. All of those things are ways for us to really start to bring people together. And that connection is extremely important, because I can tell you right now, the connections that I've made through SMPTE have directly affected my decision-making as far as my career is concerned. And it is because you have individuals who have sort of lived certain lives. They've had certain paths that they've gone, and they can tell you where some roadblocks are. They can tell you where you may need to sort of take an off ramp or take a trail that is a little bit rough, but it'll get you where you need to go. Those are the kinds of things that go beyond technology. It's about helping one another, and I think that's one of the greatest things that SMPTE brings to the table.
I want to continue down that path, Renard, is that as I've been meeting and talking to members around the entire membership base, I think we have this wealth of knowledge that's also sort of outside our industry centers. And that's exciting, because sometimes I think our members in some of these other places feel like they're really isolated.
Yeah.
A US-based member said to me that they feel like they could be just as well in the other side of the planet, and because they feel that much distanced from some of our industry centers here in the US. And that's how I hope we can become a platform, so that wherever you are, wherever you're working, your ability to share solutions is magnified through partnership in the society.
Yeah. And Chuck Swan has a good question. Can we put Chuck?
Yes, he does. I was hoping you would go to that.
Yeah. So Chuck, we are in the world of open standards right now. Everybody has open source and the idea, and it's a wonderful place to be, where you can sort of create something and then go down that road. However, the key to what we bring to the table is interoperability. All right. The reason that you can stream video on your iPhone and that same video is going to work on your Android device is because of standards that this society has put in place. That is that's our bread and butter. So you can have all of these proprietary standards, but in order for them to work in an interconnected world, you still need standards. And that's what we have to actually start to push upon and really amplify, that this is what SMPTE does. We bring the world of media and entertainment, the science and art of it all, we bring that together. And that's the relevance that this organization has. Now, we have to move faster. We have to think forward, and we have to get in front of a lot of this stuff. And we've got to start talking to a lot of our vendors and our manufacturers to understand why the secret sauce is necessary in a world that is coming together so quickly and so rapidly. And the idea of the secret sauce, it comes from a competitive standpoint. You can be competitive without creating something that, in my opinion, causes you to be an outlier. And we've seen some wonderful products that just couldn't make it over the hurdle to work well within an interconnected space, and those products have disappeared. Someone else may pick up that idea and then sort of integrate it in to their product later on that has a standard associated with it. But it's unnecessary, in my opinion, for us to sort of continue to create things that are separate but in no way advancing our technology. If you're doing something wonderful and you need to have it proprietary because it is going to be the, the compression codec that is going to change the world, well then, you know what? Work with SMPTE so we can figure out how we can help you to make sure that when you create that it can work with all of this other stuff. All these tools only work if we're able to go in between them. If I've got a camera and the only thing that can actually read that file is the camera or a proprietary piece of software, then I got a problem because I can't connect it to the rest of the world. And if we're looking at what the studio of the future is going to look like, because that's my space in the world, I'm constantly looking at what is the production studio going to look like in the world? How am I going to be on location in Australia and be able to make sure that my folks who are in Burbank or my folks who are in the UK or my folks who are in Asia can actually continue the work that we need to get done? I've got to have an interconnected way of operating. If I have tools that are only going to allow me to do a certain part of that workflow, unless I can easily create something that's going to help me have a fully functioning studio of the future, then I'm probably not going to lean towards using that particular tool because it's not going to help me get to my end goal, which is to create content and to make technology seamless, easy, and invisible for our creators and our content folks. As long as I can do those things, then what I'm doing is helping them to be what they are, which is creators. And they don't have to think about trying to be an engineer in the middle of a desert somewhere while they're trying to shoot, a full feature. You guys have gotten quiet on us in the chat. Come on, give us some more stuff.
Yeah, because I don't know. I need to hear that. That was Renard. I'm ready to go do some serious work after that. That was.
Well, we got one person who said, I always had mentioned that all the knowledge that many of the SMPTE professional members have needs to be passed down to the new generation. At the same time, create interest that how important it is to carry on and expand the early technology to the future. That is so really important because, and I don't know who that person was, but I'm going to say that I am so just moved by that particular comment, because if you think about it, we are still shooting celluloid. We are still shooting on film. We still have individuals who love the aesthetic of that. Therefore, all of that technology and all of that knowledge that has been poured into the filmmaking sort of 100-year-old workflow is still relevant. And it is important that we pass that down. It is important that we hold on to that and we don't lose that as we continue to push forward with all these wonderful digital tools that are also really, really cool. But I can tell you right now, in the summer, because I don't like going out in the winter. I'm a California guy. I like nice weather. But in the summertime, I take my old 16 mil and 35 mil film cameras out and I shoot, just because I still enjoy sort of the anticipation of seeing either how good or how bad I actually got my setup that particular day. And knowing that, 2 to 3 weeks from now, I'm going to get something in the mail and I'm going to be able to see if I still, have my skills. So I enjoy that. And I think it's important for us to continue to hold on to that knowledge that we've had and to continue to grow that and continue to pass that down. That's a very good comment. Very good comment.
So here's the question for both of us, Renard.
Okay.
So I'll take the first run of that. I tell you who inspires me as a leader is a woman who ran the Girl Scouts of America for many years. Her name is Frances Hesselbein. And she really understood what it meant to lead an association that was about helping bring people together to make people better, and really focused on listening and engaging people to find your commonalities. And so I think that's for me, both as a leader here at SMPTE, and I think about it as a parent, inspiring the next generation of professionals. I happen to be at a spot, Renard and I both, where we have kids who are those next generation of professionals, and inspiring them to believe that anything is possible. I think that's that barriers aren't there to stop you. They're just often barriers to success are things we have to work around, but they're not impossible. And that's what I learned from Frances Hesselbein and reading her thoughts and works. And that's how I approach things at SMPTE. There's a vision here that's being laid out by Renard and the rest of the leadership from the global board to the section board. And I believe it's my job as executive director to ask the question, what's your barriers to getting that to be successful? And how do we get those out of the way?
Yeah, I mean, that's really important. When I think about who inspires me as a leader, I've had many managers and bosses and whatever you want to call them throughout my career. But there is one individual who I think anybody who has ever worked with him would agree with me. His name is David Shapiro, and he retired last year after a very long, illustrious career in the Mid-Atlantic area in broadcast. And he is one of those individuals who inspires me because he believed in creating a sort of a culture of opportunity. And the idea was that you built in opportunities to make sure that the people that you are blessed to lead and to serve can grow under you. You are invested in their growth. You are invested in their growth because it is critical to your organization that as long as they are growing and as long as they are learning and as long as they are doing the work that they need to do, you are not only helping the organization, but you're helping our industry, because these individuals may not stay with those organizations. They go off into the industry and hopefully they create a culture the same way wherever they work. And it's sort of, that ripple effect that we all talk about. He was definitely a person, and I shouldn't say was, he still is a person who inspires my leadership style. The other person is my high school music director. His name is Timothy B. Hicks, and we always made sure we said his middle initial because it was out of respect. But he taught us leadership through music, and he taught us that leadership really is not about being in charge. It's about understanding how to meet people where they are and lead them to where they need to go. And that was really, really one of his lessons that has stuck with me my entire life. So those are the people that inspire me. And how am I inspiring the next generation? By getting out here, by speaking to students, by speaking to professors, by speaking to the folks at Warner Brothers, Warner Brothers Discovery, where I work, so that I can make sure that we're creating a pipeline of talent for our industry. So getting out there and then really working with wonderful people within the sections that I visit to help amplify and boost what they're doing. The folks in all of these chapters are doing some wonderful things. New York and DC have wonderful partnerships with schools that are directly there. The Hollywood section has an incredible relationship with the universities that are right there feeding into the pipeline of the film industry. The folks in the UK are just killing it when it comes to, being involved with the universities. They are putting together some incredible stuff. The folks in Boston, that group, if you have not talked to them lately, you really need to pay attention to what the folks in Boston are doing, constantly pushing the limits of how to keep their section engaged. There's so many that, and once you start naming, you're always going to forget someone. So please, if I've forgotten your section, understand that you can blame it on my head, which is still in a COVID fog, and not my heart, which is really out with all of you.
Along with that, Renard, this is something we were talking about yesterday with Clark Atlanta, and
San
Bill
Francisco as well. Yes, San Francisco, my Bay Area home. Forgive me, LinkedIn user, for forgetting San Francisco. Just did a wonderful presentation. It was killer. I couldn't be there, but they got Waz sitting there doing all kinds of stuff. Yes, San Francisco. Please forgive me, everybody. I apologize. Like I said, once you start naming, you can get yourself in trouble. I'm still getting flack from my profile in the journal because I left people out, and it was only because we ran out of space. People, the list was too long. So yeah, San Francisco, home area. I'm Bay Area for life. So please forgive me.
So just to hit on what Bill's pointing out here, one of the things that we really talk about when working with university students, and this is a passion of mine. At my last association, really, I sat at the exact same intersection. The thing we have to promote is that we live at the intersection of art and science. And when they're focused on art, we're the modern paintbrushes, we're the modern paint, we're the modern canvas. What we have to be better, and I say we, speaking largely of the whole society and industry, is that we have to tell our story in a way that people see the vitality, that all of this that we do is how the idea gets brought to life. Mm-hmm. And that's the exciting part about that, is that the creative mind sits there and comes up with this amazing story to tell.
Yeah.
And then they think, oh, but there's no way I could do, and fill in the blank. And someone in our organization says, oh no, we can do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, that would be the kind of thing that we're looking to do, is change the narrative of how people not just see SMPTE, but see production technology and engineering as the creators of that toolkit.
Yeah, what's interesting about this is that a lot of times individuals think that, if you're an engineer or you're a creative technologist, your brain is all really focused on, numbers and facts, and you're not able to, be creative. But I will tell you right now, creativity is a part of what we do at SMPTE. And getting students to understand that you can create art based off of the things that we are creating within SMPTE is a great step. Talk to them, Bill, about what's being done right now with artificial intelligence and how you can actually begin to use science to create art. This is nothing new, okay? Leonardo da Vinci was doing this many millennials ago. He was actually using art, science, and bringing it together and doing all of that work. We need to show individuals who are interested in the creative side of this business that it's wonderful to be creative, but you also need to understand the tools that you're working with so that you can do something with those tools that maybe they weren't meant to do. You can do something with those tools that no one else has even thought of doing through your creative your creativity. So lean in to how technology can enhance their creative desires and help them to understand that, as long as you're involved in the creative space, you're going to be involved in some sort of technology. whether it is a paintbrush and how you actually mix your paint, or whether you are someone who's very interested in sound and understanding sound waves. One or the other, you're going to be involved with technology.
So while you read and digest this, I just want to reach out. Fred Huffman was asking about the 2 surveys and will we be sharing that information? Yes, we will. We just got our membership data into the board. We're sharing the data on the journal with them as well. And once I get past the board meeting and we've had a chance for the board to have a higher level discussion on that, we'll be able to share more of that data out, and also how we're planning to respond, which will include asking lots of questions of our members on how they want us to respond to what we've learned.
Yep.
So I promise you it is coming.
Yep. And Greg, I want to jump right in on your question because we're quickly running out of time here. But Greg, one of the things that we're looking at doing is solidifying those faculty members who are championing our sections. And we are looking to expand those relationships beyond just a single point of failure within those higher education institutions. One of the things that we have run into is we have someone who is just a really big champion for SMPTE, and then that individual leaves to go to another institution. And when they leave, things sort of fall apart because, as we know, the section leaders, as far as the students, our hope is that they are graduating and matriculating out. So as they continue to rotate in, we need to have a point of consistency. So we're looking at some of the deans of these organizations, and not necessarily just the individuals who have stepped in to be the mentors and to be the leaders of those sections and the representatives. We're trying to expand that so that we have, at least 4 or 5 people on the faculty who are actually involved with the student sections. And if we can do that, that helps us to sort of build in at least a little bit of a buffer as things change.
So John Luff, you make a good comment here, that a lot of times what our younger members are looking for is not necessarily deep technical knowledge always, but really things that are practical career wise. And that hits on one of the things we're looking at, and we have to give people the information they need. And we're able to have that conversation at the national level and the global level and the section level, so that we are feeding people, but continuing to feed across all areas and all points of the career lifespan. We've talked a lot today about our younger people because that's an important topic, but we also have to realize that our mid-career people aren't looking for very specific job things, and our more vintaged career, I try to find a different term for that as often as possible, especially as I'm entering it. They're looking for specific needs, and we need to always be looking to, as I used to work with actors and hear them say, yes, and in the world of improv, we've got to give them the deep technical knowledge and the other industry skill sets that we need. It's all about building your network and learning how we can work together. Jeff Cohen.
Yeah, it also ties into the work that we're doing on the website too, John.
Yep.
To me, I've always felt that the job board that we have on the SMPTE website really does not do as much as it possibly could. And I think that we have to make sure that that is becoming like a place where people can go and they can see what's happening in the industry. I also remember, many, many moons ago when job fairs were one of those things that you actually had at, these conferences and these things which we meet together. Should we, maybe talk to some of our vendors who are there, some of our companies who are corporate members, and say, hey, you know what? We want to ask your recruiters to also show up at our summit so that, people can actually start to learn about these different companies and what's going on and how they can actually, sort of make their way into their next job. we can start to ask our students and our younger people, what is it that's missing that would bring you in, and what is it that we can do that brings value to what it is that you need right now. There's no way for us to learn without having sessions like this and listening. So, for all of you folks out there, grab some young person, bring them into these conversations as we're having them. Have them sit next to you at your job, or just invite them to, send the link out. Get them on here so that they can tell us what they need, and we can actually make sure that as a part of our vision, as a part of what we're doing going forward, and definitely as a part of our goal, that we include that.
And Renard, we're in the midst of finalizing some agreements that will allow us to share that across our sections and student chapters, so that if one section has an event talking about a particular thing, it can be shared with the others, that it's not a burden that everyone has to repeat, but we create more of a stone soup of going into things. Jeff Cohen, Broadcast Education Association is one of the groups on our radar. And we have many members who are common and engaged in both. We just have to get our time together to find time for their leadership and our leadership to sit down and talk about how best we can go about things.
Yeah, and I think also we need to point out, like I said, the UK is killing it with their connection with universities and with educational institutions. Polly Hickling, I think she's here. She is also one of those individuals who is a real connective tissue between SMPTE and the educational institutions within the UK. Those are the type of people that we want to actually work closely with within our membership to do exactly that. We want to build those bonds. We want to have an agreed upon and established alliance with these institutions. That is the only way that we're going to create a consistent pipeline into our industry and into this side of the world that, to be honest, a lot of people don't realize can be an extremely lucrative and exciting career.
Chris, thank you for that suggestion on 2110. That's one of the many conversations that we're in the throes of having. It's mind-boggling sometimes, and I can't thank you all enough. When Renard and I sat and talked about doing a session like this, I said, well, it'll either be wonderful or it'll be bust, and we'll be done in 15 minutes. And I cannot thank you all enough. If you have colleagues who have been who wanted to participate but not able to, while this will stream, we will be live again next week. It's 8 p.m. Eastern, which is more conducive maybe for some of the folks as you work your way westward around the globe and end up in our membership in Asia and India. A little more time conducive to them, a little less so unless you're a night owl in Europe. Yeah. But Renard's right. If we don't have sessions like this, we can't learn.
Yep. And it's important. And Christy, thank you for pointing out that we need to make our educational tools accessible. Somehow they need to be accessible and not a burden for individuals to find, seek, and to utilize. That is something that we are looking at. And I know that we're coming up on time, so I do want to say one thing to the audience out there. If any of you have sent me emails or chat messages or text messages on LinkedIn, I am about a month behind, so please don't take it personally. I am working my way through a lot of messages, and I didn't expect the onslaught of what I've signed up for here. But I am working towards making sure that I answer every single one of them. And hopefully I will answer you in a time frame that has not made your question irrelevant. So I am working through, so please forgive me for not getting there yet.
And truly, again, I can't thank you enough. Many of you have reached out to me, and I've tried to answer, and I apologize if I too have missed something in the ways. Renard and I will both be at NAB. As a matter of fact, I'll put in a plug for my colleague. Renard is the keynote speaker at NAB. So you want to make sure if you're there to catch that. It's an honor to start my time at SMPTE with him and our leadership. But we want to hear from you. And I know I can speak. He was elected by you. I was hired by your board to serve you, and I truly believe that. And those of you who've worked with me thus far do know that I'm here in service to the membership. So I would like to thank you all. A huge thank you to Joel Welch, who, while he has transitioned from full-time employment at SMPTE because he doesn't use the R word, is still working with us to produce events like this, along with Erminia Fiorino, our marketing manager. They helped make this possible today, even solving some technical issues right to the very last minute, because that's the way it works in our industry.
Nothing better than live.
Oh, yeah. So as Roberta Gorman has put in, we're in the North Lobby in the Las Vegas Convention Center. If you're joining us at NAB, if you are not, we look forward to seeing you as Renard and I make our way around to visit our members, because you are what we're here for. So please reach out, share with your colleagues, and let them know that we're serious about it when we say we're listening and responding. Final words, sir.
Thank you all. Thank you for being members. Thank you for encouraging others to be members. Thank you for all that you volunteer to do and all that you input into this society. This society is you.
Yes.
And so I am, I'm truly humbled to be elected as president, and I'm excited about all of the things that I think we're going to do over the next couple of years. And my hope is that we are really laying the foundation for some things that will last, well after, my career has gone into its second act.
And with that, we are at our hour. Thank you, everyone, for making this a successful launch of this series as we continue to be open and listening and lead your society. Joel?
I would like to take this moment to thank David, Renard, and Erminia, yes, for putting this together, but also thank the folks who were able to join us. So many things that are pulling and pushing for your attention. So spending the time with you is an honor. And this was a great session. Thank you, David and Renard. And as David said, as a reminder, the next session is 8 p.m. Eastern on 5 April. We will be here. We hope you will too. Bye-bye now.